A birthday party sometime in the 1970s, 7 children around a table. One of them is not smiling, not frowning, just watching the camera. A backyard, a different decade, a different family. A child sits apart from the others, same calm expression. A school photo day, a beach, a kitchen doorway. 5 decades, 5 unrelated families, 61 photographs. I have arranged them in the order they were packed, not the order the dates on the back would suggest. That ordering will matter later. One child. I have restored every Bellwether artifact so far from material that reached me digitally, a damaged upload, a recovered file, a data cartridge someone else had already carried out of Vale Tunnel. Nothing had physically entered my workspace until 9 days ago. A package was on my doorstep with no courier label, no postmark, and no return address. My security recording shows the doorstep empty at 11:58 p.m. and the package present at 11:59, with no vehicle, no person, and no explanation in the intervening frame. I checked what could reasonably be checked. The wrapping paper is a common commercial stock, uninformative on its own. A neighbor's doorbell camera angled toward the street recorded nothing unusual in the same window. An ordinary check that turned up nothing ordinary to explain what happened. I want to be precise about what that means because it is the reason this report exists. Every previous transmission reached me through something I chose to restore. This reached me because someone, or something, chose to deliver it. In my last report, a recovered route record listed my business as a destination, not a metaphor, an actual field in a fictional government form, restored by my own hands. I said then that the county had not merely arrived at my archive, it had made my archive an exit. This is what an exit produces. The package contained 61 photographic prints and 1 sealed 8mm film reel, unlabeled, wrapped in plain paper. I photographed the exterior before opening it and logged every item before touching the film. The prints are not uniform. Paper stock, chemical processing, and camera characteristics place them across roughly 5 decades, consistent with genuine period photography rather than a single fabricated batch. I sent unidentified samples to 2 independent contacts for a blind materials opinion. Neither knew what they were looking at. Both estimated different decades for different prints, all consistent with the dates written on the back in different handwriting. I am not asking you to take my word for the physical evidence. I am telling you what I checked and what I could not explain afterward. Every print shows a child, roughly 7 or 8 years old in each image, in an ordinary domestic setting, a party, a yard, a doorway, a beach. Different families, different decades. Different clothing, correct for its decade, the same face in every one. I traced return addresses on a handful of the prints to living relatives and reached 3 of them through the same protected channel I used for the Bellwether school report. Each recognized the child immediately as their own, a daughter, a nephew, a cousin who visited one specific summer. Each described the same calm, quiet temperament. None could produce a birth certificate, none agreed on a name. One insisted the child was a boy named Peter. Another insisted, from a nearly identical photograph, that the same child was a girl named Ruth. I do not think either of them is lying. A third contact, reached only after 2 days of silence, told me something the first 2 had not volunteered. Her family's photograph was taken the same summer her older sister miscarried. She had never told anyone that detail on a recorded call before. She could not explain why it came up. I went back to the packing order I noted earlier. The photograph packed first belonged to the family with the most recent, most acute loss. The one packed last belonged to a family who described the child as distant and hard to picture. The prints are not sorted by date. They appear sorted by how strongly each family still feels the absence. This matches something I first documented in the future attendance recording. That file marked certain names as provisional, not confirmed residents, not fabricated, but people assembled from a family's own memory of someone who might have existed. I described it then as Bellwether, testing possible descendants against family longing. I think this is the same mechanism. running in the opposite direction, not a name waiting to be spoken into a future roster, but a shape borrowed from whatever a family was already missing, a child who didn't arrive, a sibling who didn't survive, a name someone almost used. I want to be careful here. This is my best supported inference, not a confirmed fact. But 3 unrelated families, 5 decades apart, each supplied their own private absence, and Bellwether appears to have filled it with the same face, in the same order as the strength of what each family still carries. I searched school enrollment and census extracts in every county the addresses touched. No matching child appears in any of them, in any decade, not absent, never entered. While cataloguing the prints, I noticed a building recurring in the unfocused background of 4 separate photographs, taken in different decades in different families' homes and yards, visible through a window, a car windshield, a gap between houses. No sign is legible in any of the 4. I identified it by matching brick coursing, a distinctive roof line, and a loading bay visible at the same relative angle in 2 images taken roughly 30 years apart. It matches independent witness descriptions of Bellwether Memorial, the county hospital. The county hospital is not new to this investigation. A witness in my first report recognized it directly. A waiting room, a broken vending machine, a brother who nearly drowned in the reservoir. What is new is how it is appearing now. Every landmark so far reached me because a former resident described it first. This one reached me from 4 strangers who have never claimed any connection to Bellwether, sitting unremarked in the corner of their own family photographs, before I had any reason to go looking for it. Public records for the surrounding counties show no operating hospital under that name after 1987, the same year the relocation completed. I am not going to speculate about its records here. I am recording the building's recurrence and its disappearance in the same year, side by side, and leaving it there. I restored the film last, on the same isolated equipment I have used for every Bellwether recording. The reel had to be rehoused before I could run it. The original spool was warped, so I hand-wound it onto a new core under safe light before it ever touched a projector. It runs for 4 silent minutes. A family at the reservoir on an ordinary afternoon, a picnic blanket near the water line, someone wading in up to their knees. The child is there too, standing slightly apart, watching the water rather than the camera for nearly the entire 4 minutes. 8mm home film of this era has no synchronized audio track. The format cannot physically record sound without a magnetic stripe added at manufacture, and this stock has none. There should be nothing to recover. When I ran the film through an optical soundtrack scanner as a diagnostic step, a routine check, I did not expect to return anything it produced audio. Layered, overlapping voices, none clearly speaking English, none individually intelligible on their own. Beneath them, once, briefly clear enough to transcribe, "Keep counting." I have heard that phrase's shape before, without the words. My first report ended with a resident count that changed while the file sat isolated from every network, 18,411 becoming 18,412, with no explanation I could offer. I did not connect the two until I heard this recording. I am not certain they are related. I am recording that I noticed it. I do not know whose voice that is. I do not know how a silent reel produced a soundtrack. I am publishing the recovered audio alongside this report exactly as recovered, without cleanup, so that anyone with real expertise in optical sound restoration can examine it independently. I have spent 3 reports treating Bellwether as something I reach into a file I restore, a tunnel I map from someone else's recorder, a roster I compare against public records, always through my own choice, on my own equipment, on my own schedule. This report exists because Bellwether reached back. I do not know what standing at my own front door for 1 recorded minute required. What I do know is that the sequence has been consistent across 3 reports now. I restore something and a record I never asked for updates in response. A resident count, a guardian field, a destination. now, apparently, a delivery address. I am changing how I store future material as a result. Restoring a Bellwether artifact does not appear to be a neutral act of preservation. It appears to be closer to a reply. This remains an original fictional series. Every family, every photograph, every recording described here was created for this production. No real missing child, real hospital, or real family is depicted or implied. I am setting the 61 prints aside until I understand them better. The real stays out, not for what it shows, for what it recorded that shouldn't have been there, voices pulled from water on tape that was never supposed to carry sound at all. I will listen to the reservoir directly in the next report. This has been an original fictional episode of the Bellwether Transmissions. Names, locations, documents, families and events were created for narrative entertainment.